And joining us now, Democratic Congresswoman Melanie Stansbury from New Mexico. Thanks so much for coming in. First, your reaction to what we're learning about why the president canceled this meeting with the Democratic leaders.
Well, I think if you look at the social media post that he put online, it's just as bonkers as the speech he just gave in front of the UN. First of all, we're 7 days out from the end of the fiscal year, and we had votes scheduled for next Monday and Tuesday. It was already on the congressional calendar, and the Republicans canceled votes. So for them to say that, one, we're going to have a shutdown, two, that it's our fault that a shutdown is going to happen, and three, refuse to negotiate a bipartisan agreement both to fund the government and to save American health care is insane. I mean, this is not good for the economy. This is not good for the American people. This is not good for the functioning of government. The American people want to see their leaders taking the reins, working together, and getting meaningful things done. And what are they doing 7 days out? They're playing a game of chicken when they still have plenty of time to negotiate a perfectly reasonable agreement to keep the government funded.
And we know that Republicans haven't been talking with Democrats. We saw that party line vote when the House passed this, what they called a clean CR, to just kind of kick the can down the road when it comes to government funding. It's in the Senate now, so that's where we'll see if there will be a shutdown. Is your anticipation at this point that we're going to head into a shutdown? And do you see an off-ramp at this point? Or are there some red lines that Democrats certainly would not cross?
Well, let me just put it this way. Democrats are going to show up for work on Monday. Now, will the Republicans show up? I kind of doubt they will because they've already canceled votes, but we plan to be there in the Capitol. So I think it's going to be very hard for them to claim that they pin the shutdown on us when they've already canceled votes and they control the House, the Senate, and the White House. This is their fundamental constitutional responsibility. Do we want a shutdown? Absolutely not. What we want is to keep the government funded with a bipartisan bill that protects federal programs and restores health care for tens of millions of Americans, because whether you're on Medicaid, Medicare, or you're on the private exchanges that were supported by federal subsidies, you are going to lose health care if we don't address the health care crisis. And so it is fundamentally irresponsible and, frankly, just mean-spirited to the health and well-being of the American people for them to refuse to have a conversation.
Let's pivot to what we just heard from the president at the UN General Assembly. I know you're here in New York this week because of it being Climate Week. It's an area of passion for you, and one of the things he touched on there was the climate crisis, but he called it the greatest con job. He said the carbon footprint is a hoax. That was just among the many controversial things he said in front of this UN body. What's your take on what we heard and how it represents the U.S. to the world?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's impossible to listen to Donald Trump appearing on the international stage and not think this man is literally unhinged, irresponsible, bizarre, bonkers, ludicrous. I don't even know why his staff are allowing him to stand in front of a mic at this point. It was completely incoherent. And, you know, I have many other, let's say, less polite even responses, but he's completely undermining U.S. authority on the global stage. He's undermining global peace. He's calling into question the purpose of the UN. He canceled UN funding. And here he is lobbying to get a peace prize, and the man is literally cozying up to our foreign adversaries. I mean, it's wildly irresponsible.
I do want to also touch on a big story we've been following. It was exclusive reporting by MSNBC involving $50,000 in cash and President Trump's now border czar, Tom Homan. And just to recap a bit of the reporting here, this was based on multiple sources and internal documents. We learned that during an undercover FBI operation, Homan was allegedly recorded on hidden cameras accepting $50,000 in cash after he indicated to agents posing as business executives that he could help them obtain government contracts if Trump won another term. So this was in the fall prior to the president taking office again. But President Trump's DOJ, the FBI, they closed this case, saying, quote, no credible evidence of any criminal wrongdoing, unquote, was found. And Homan defended himself last night. Let's watch.
Look, I did nothing criminal. I did nothing illegal. And it's hit piece after hit piece after hit piece. And I'm glad the FBI and DOJ came out and said, said that nothing illegal happened and nothing, no criminal activity. Tom Homan isn't going anywhere. Tom Homan isn't shutting up. And Tom Homan's going to keep doing what he's doing, because working with President Trump's the greatest honor of my life. We're making this country safer again every day, and we're going to keep doing it.
The Trump administration has slammed this as politically motivated, that an investigation was politically motivated. We should note that Tom Homan isn't in charge of any contracting decisions, but you're on House oversight. Is this case closed?
Absolutely not. Tom Homan is committed bribery. The man literally took $50,000 in cash. I love this, in a Cava fast food chain bag, to give government contracts. And while he may not personally be the person signing off on these contracts, we know that he was also lobbying for border security firms. And under the big ugly bill that they just passed, they put billions of dollars for private contracts for border security firms. So even if Tom Homan hasn't delivered directly, we know that part of what the Trump administration is engaged in is pay to play with private corporations that want to incarcerate Americans and immigrants in this country to make money. And it's very obvious that Mr. Homan is engaged in bribery. And I will say
those are the allegations, although he never faced any charges. We know it was an ongoing investigation.
Well, DOJ buried the case. They decided to stop investigating it. And we've seen just the last few days that they're involved in a cover-up. And we've seen this over and over and over again, where the Trump administration commits crimes, they have some sort of internal corrupt process, and then they engage in a cover-up. And it's the same story every single time, whether it's the Epstein files or it's Tom Homan. It's one and the same.
Congresswoman Melanie Stansbury, thank you very much for coming in.